Wake up, grab your tools, and step into another day of mind-numbing work. Because as a peasant, that's about as glamorous as it gets. The rooster's crow is your alarm clock, and there's no snooze button. Welcome to a life where your biggest goal is surviving until dinner, if there is any. Congratulations, you're at the bottom of the social ladder. You're either a serf, stuck to the land like a particularly stubborn weed, or a freeman, basically a serf with slightly fewer chains. Either way, your life is pretty much one long to-do list written by someone else, with no end in sight. The land isn't yours, your time isn't yours, and forget about making your own decisions. Those are reserved for the people who have money, titles, and no idea how hard it is to actually work. Your day kicks off before dawn because who needs sleep? It's overrated anyway. The sun's barely up, but you are, and you're out in the fields, working your fingers to the bone. Your schedule is all about plowing, sowing, and harvesting, on repeat. It's like a never-ending episode of Peasant Life, the boring edition. You don't get weekends, you don't get breaks, and you definitely don't get paid time off. The closest thing you get to a holiday is a holy day, and even then, it's more about praying you don't starve than actually taking a rest. Thinking of marrying? Maybe taking a trip? Not without your Lord's permission. Your job is to keep the Lord's knights and the church well fed, happy, and comfortable. And no, they're not sending you a thank you note. You're like the medieval equivalent of an unpaid intern, but with more mud and fewer coffee breaks. Your contribution to society? Utterly essential and totally invisible. Sure, the whole village pitches in when there's a big job to do. Teamwork makes the dream work, right? Except the dream is surviving until tomorrow. Whether you're farming or trying your hand at blacksmithing, it's all the same. Hard work, basic tools, and rewards that make you wonder why you even bother. Home is where the heart is, unless you're a peasant. In that case, home is a cramped, smoky, one-room hut made of mud, straw, and whatever else you could scrape together. Don't even ask about privacy. What's that? You, your family, and sometimes the animals all share the same space. Sounds cozy, right? When it rains, everything gets a lovely coating of misery, turning your home into a damp, cold trap. And let's not forget the lack of a chimney, so your home doubles as a smokehouse. You're constantly coughing, your eyes stinging from the endless smoke that seeps into everything, from your clothes to your food. Comfort is for the rich. You're all about survival. Your bed is straw, your clothes are itchy wool, and every day is a battle against the elements, hunger, and illness. It's like camping, but without the fun part where you go home. But hey, it's not all doom and gloom. There are those rare moments when the village gets a break from the grind. Every once in a blue moon, there's a festival, maybe a harvest celebration or a saint's feast day. You know, those times when you can actually put down the plow and pick up a tankard. It's your chance to throw on your least tattered tunic and pretend, just for a night, that life isn't a never-ending slog. There's music, dancing, maybe even a roast pig if the year's been kind. For a few hours, you forget about the blisters on your hands and the ache in your back, and you actually feel almost human. But of course, the sun will rise, the fields will call, and the dream will shatter, leaving you with nothing but the memory, and maybe a hangover. Your meals? Bread. More bread. And when you're feeling fancy, some bread with beans. Bread is basically the star of your diet, though it's more like brick than a baguette. Vegetables like onions and cabbage make an appearance in your stew, but meat? That's a rare treat. Fish is more common if you live near water, but you'll need a permission slip from the Lord to catch it. How generous. You're stuck in a loop of tasteless, repetitive meals, and if the harvest fails, starvation looms just around the corner. Eating isn't about enjoying flavors. It's about cramming in enough calories to survive another day. Hygiene is, well, let's just say it's not a top priority. Bathing happens once or twice in your lifetime, if you're lucky. Water is for drinking, cooking, and your animals, not for something as frivolous as washing. Dirt, smoke, and animal smells are just part of the ambiance. You live in a world where filth is the norm, and the nearest thing to a bath might be the occasional downpour that catches you outside. Disease is like that annoying neighbor who keeps popping by uninvited. The Black Death, typhoid, dysentery, they're all regular visitors. If you get a cut, you better hope it doesn't get infected, or you're in trouble. Because medicine? You've got herbs and prayers. Best of luck with that. Life's tough, but at least you've got your trusty superstitions to keep things interesting. Your harvest is bad this season? Blame the witch 2 huts over. Everyone knows she's been giving the evil eye since last spring. Your cow is sick? Better bury that charm in the fields and hope the spirits take pity on you. Superstitions are like medieval life hacks. Part survival guide, part desperate wishful thinking. They won't fix your broken plow, but they give you something to cling to when life feels stacked against you. And when everything else fails, there's always a prayer or a curse to throw at the problem. It's not science, but then again, neither is your life. You're not just fighting the dirt, you're fighting to stay alive. Your neighbors are your best allies because, let's face it, you're all in the same sinking boat. When the harvest is good, you share what little extra you have. When it's bad, you rely on borrowed food and the occasional miracle. Money is rarer than a bath, so you trade what you have. A few eggs for some flour, firewood for a bit of cloth. Everything is valuable, and nothing goes to waste. Even a broken tool gets patched up until it's more patch than tool. You adapt because that's what you do. Bad weather? Tighten your belt and hope for better days. Sickness? Break out the herbs and cross your fingers. Life is a tightrope walk over a pit of disaster. But somehow, you always manage to stay upright. There's no safety net, just the constant balancing act of keeping your family fed, your Lord satisfied, and yourself alive. Justice? Brutal and swift. The Lord's word is law, and if you cross it, you might find yourself in a world of hurt. Do not ever steal a loaf of bread. That'll cost you a hand. And do not even complain about it. If you do, maybe a beating will teach you to keep quiet. For bigger offenses, the punishments get even more creative. Think trial by ordeal. If you survive boiling water or being thrown into a river, congratulations, you're innocent. But let's be real, the system isn't about finding the truth. It's about keeping you in line. The gallows are a constant reminder to stay in your lane, and the stocks are never empty for long. It's not justice, it's medieval crowd control. And no, there's no escape. Just the hope that you won't end up on the wrong side of the law. You've had it up to here with taxes, hard labor, and the constant taking. Surviving the Black Death has put things into perspective. You're done being squeezed dry. The whispers of revolt turn into shouts, and before you know it, you're part of something bigger. You march with your fellow peasants, burning tax records and tearing down symbols of your oppression. For once, you feel something new. Hope. You storm London, defiant and unstoppable, dragging the powerful out into the streets. It's exhilarating, and for a brief moment, you believe things might actually change. But of course, it doesn't last. The king makes promises he has no intention of keeping, and the crackdown is swift and brutal. The leaders are caught, executed, and their heads displayed as a not-so-subtle reminder of who's really in charge. The revolt is crushed, and you return to your fields, knowing that no matter how hard you fight, the game is rigged against you. You've spent your life in the mud, working from dawn until dusk with nothing to show for it except more mud. Yet somehow, you keep going. You survive, not because it's easy, but because you don't have any other choice. They take everything, your time, your labor, your hope, and still, you endure. The system isn't built for you. It's built on you. You're at the bottom, unseen and unthanked, but without you, none of it works. The castles, the manors, the wealth, they all rest on your weary shoulders. You're not just a peasant. You're the backbone of the medieval world, holding everything up as you're being crushed under the weight. Now, I suppose you're wondering what to do next. Well, YouTube thinks you'll love the video on the screen right now, so click on it.